Now, I typically write out these reviews beforehand, but for this one, since I've been having trouble writing it, I'm just going to shoot from the hip. So, the focus of this review on Jaws, I'm going to look at what exactly makes Jaws the classic that it is, and what makes it so rewatchable over the years. And after rewatching it, the first thing I know is that what makes it so rewatchable certainly isn't the shark. It was a great breakthrough in animatronics at the time, but it just hasn't stood the test of time ever since '75. So, if the shark isn't what gets you to rewatch it so many times, so what is it? I think what makes you watch it so many times is the three main characters who have to confront the shark. That being Brody, Hooper, and Quint. So that's going to be the main focus of me talking about Jaws, is those three characters. Now, each of the characters are afraid of the shark in different ways, and they react to the shark in three different ways. Brody, I think he's the most ignorant about science and sharks in general, so he fears the shark as a monster. Hooper, who's the biologist, he looks at it as an animal in a scientific point of view, whereas Quint, he's the only one who views the shark in almost human characteristics.
He's gone under. He's gone under the boat. I think he's gone under the boat. Yeah, it's too easy. He's a smart, big fish. He's gone under the boat.
Quint's main motivation in life after the Indianapolis experience is almost having revenge, personal vendetta against these animals. And through that revenge, he actually has, out of all three, the most respect for the shark because he thinks the shark actually has intelligence and actually knows what it's doing, whereas Hooper thinks it's just a mindless eating machine and just an animal.
Mr. Vaughn, what we are dealing with here is a perfect engine, an eating machine. It's really a miracle of evolution. All this machine does is swim and eat and make little sharks, and that's all.
Brody, I think, is the most interesting character, since they actually go into his ironic fear of moving to an island when he's afraid of water. At least that's how they explain it. I don't think he's afraid of water as much as he is afraid of going back to New York City, which is where he left, to take the job at Amity. So the shark starts to bring up his old fears of his old job, and not being able to serve and protect in New York City, so now he's afraid he's going to fail in Amity like he failed in New York.
I'm telling you, the crime rate in New York will kill you. There's so many problems, you never feel like you're accomplishing anything. Violence, rip-offs, muggings, kids can't leave the house, you gotta walk them to school. But in Amity, one man can make a difference. In 25 years, there's never been a shooting or a murder in this town.
The least interesting character is Hooper, who provides, he has a purpose for the story. But as far as complex characters, he's a bit dense. He believes in science and views the problem in very scientific terms and how to treat it and kill the shark. But other than that, he's not much to talk about. Now, something I really want to talk about is the whole idea of man versus nature. And for those of you who know this, that most stories are either man versus man versus himself, or man versus nature, are the three big stories you can tell. So this is obviously man versus nature, but I want to go into the three men that make up the protagonists of the film. Now, the three men represent three different points in human history and human progression. Brody represents the present of civilization, a man of the law, a man of bureaucracy and government. Hooper represents science and what the future of man can be. And Quint represents the primal hunter, who is the past. So you have the past, present, and future men trying to hunt this, primal force of nature. And each of them conflict with the other on strategies on trying to kill the shark. Quint pretty much wants to fight the shark face to face, hunt him, and kill him. Brody really doesn't want the confrontation, simply out of fear, but he always wants to pass responsibility onto another party. It isn't until his son's attacked that he realizes that he has to face the shark because the system that he works for has completely failed him. So if he has to take care of this problem himself, then he has to. Now, what I think makes the movie is the third act. That's where all the tensions between the three main characters are actually more entertaining than any of the shark sequences. This is where the acting is at its best and really brings out the conflict that each character has against each other. Even if they're united in one goal and are friends, they will boil over in frustration at each other. Both Quint and Hooper are annoyed and frustrated by Brody's lack of sea experience, and they always seem to have to help him along the way. Whereas also Quint and Hooper, they can't stand each other because, one's the educated young punk who thinks he knows everything about science, everything there is to know about sharks, whereas, the ultimate pirate, Quint, can't stand him and always is under his skin about not being a man and being too dependent on his technology and all of his toys.
Nowadays, these kids, they take out everything. Radar, sonar, electric toothbrushes. Jesus H. Christ.
Quint has such a hatred and disdain for technology that at the end he even destroys his own radio. The main reason, I suppose, is that he wants the reward all to himself, but two, he thinks it's making this crew weak and lose focus if they know they can just radio for help if it gets too hairy.
Excuse me, Chief.
Now, you might think I'm overanalyzing and putting too much into this film, but I really do think there was a statement about past, present, and future man and the flaws of each. In the book, both Quint and Hooper are killed, and Brody's the only survivor. So this would mean that both the primal hunter and the future scientists couldn't find a way to beat nature. The civilized man, Chief Brody, he had to use tools from each of the other men. One was Quint's gun, and the other was Hooper's air tank. So I think if there's a statement in that, it's that civilization needs to acknowledge its very brutal past and use its scientific knowledge together if they want to accomplish anything in the present.
Smile, you son of a...
Again, I might be reading way too much into this, but I think it explains really why people always are drawn to Jaws, and that, the big reason why it was the first $100 million hit, and why it's always one of the biggest, most reran movies on cable, is it's not the shark, but how humans react to the shark, and the human characters that always make you want to see it again and again. So that's my thoughts on Jaws. Hope to get more scripted reviews for you some other time. Thanks for watching.